Welcome to the Southeastern 14 Wednesday night live stream. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell and Blayne Gilmer. Got a lot of football to talk about tonight, gentlemen.
We've heard there's a big game
all
this
kinds
weekend,
of games.
Chris.
Yeah, there's a really big, probably the biggest game of the football season so far.
Vanderbilt travels to Georgia, and
that's right. Circle that 2:30 Central Time slot, gentlemen.
Absolutely. It is going to be absolutely insane in Rocky Top. Game day there for the second time this year. And, it's an orange out, which I was confused by that because I thought every game was an orange out for Tennessee, except when they do the checkered deal, but because there's usually a ton of orange, but it's going to be more orange than normal, I guess. And it's going to be loud there in Rocky Top as Alabama comes in as a 7-point favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's Chris. I mean, at this point, like you talk about just the hype and all of the excitement around this game. It's something. And yes, Juan, we got Blayne back in the saddle for this week.
We got the team back. We had stuff going on last week. We had Disney World and marriages and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Lots of stuff.
A lot of stuff going on for sure. Absolutely.
I was the only one with no conflict, but yes, the team is back tonight. Lots of games to talk about. If you are new to the live stream, and I see familiar faces so far, this is a listener-driven Wednesday night show. We address your comments and questions. Of course, we've got stuff to talk about. We've got easily an hour's worth of stuff to talk about without anything from the listeners, but we try to make this your show. Want to hear from you, what your thoughts, your questions are. We'll have picks later on. We have all kinds of fun on Wednesday night. I look so forward to this show.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like, I'm always the one that and the last one to hit that end broadcast button. Y'all got stuff to do, and I could go on to midnight.
Hey, you gotta, diminishing returns at one point. You gotta get off while the getting's good over there. But no, it's exciting to just talk SEC ball. And like I said, there's huge matchups, and even one out of conference matchups that maybe some of our Arkansas brethren on here will have some interest in that we'll be talking about.
That one, incidentally, the line moved from BYU -2 to Arkansas -1, I think, depending on where you see it.
Yeah, so that's 1.5. Is that because you think that's because KJ Jefferson is firmly, in and playing? Is that why they're the line movement there, you think?
I'm just gonna make a guess. I have seen a line move and a few over-unders move pretty dramatically this week. I think that the betting market is bullish on the health of SEC quarterbacks this week.
Yeah.
Because you have seen the Mississippi State, Kentucky line go from State -7.5 to 4.5 in some places. You have seen the over-under in Alabama, Tennessee swing about 8 points from where it came out that I saw it. And that in an upward direction. That might also have to do with some other things. And then there was one other one, the Jefferson one, and I want to say there was one more potential line move. Are there any other hurt quarterbacks?
I mean, Jaden Daniels was banged up, and he's going to play.
Yeah.
I don't. Not that I can think of too seriously. So, I guess we can start off, Blake. We already got some questions rolling in. It looks like you got.
I mean, guys, everybody wants to talk about the Tennessee-Alabama game, and we're going to do that off the top here. But it is kind of interesting to look at just how the season has played out thus far, right? In terms of where these teams are at. I know Juan asked the question of the undefeated SEC teams. I think we would have certainly expected Alabama and Georgia to be sitting here in this spot. But, like we said, though, Ole Miss was that team coming to the season. We looked at the schedule and said, man, there's a lot of opportunity there. And as we talked about, Chris, right, like they've taken advantage of it. You can't take anything away from them beating everyone on their schedule. And, of course, Tennessee certainly getting ready for the biggest game they played. And in years this weekend there in Knoxville.
Yeah, the traffic on our videos this week for Tennessee, Alabama has been the biggest traffic video we've had since we've had a channel.
Yeah, there's lots of interest, lots of hope. What is it? One of the characters on Ted Lasso says it's the hope that kills you. So we
Yes.
hope that for Tennessee's fans, you hope that's not the case. But Alabama fans, they're used to kind of dangling a little hope out in front of people on the road. It seems here the last couple of years, and then taking it away late. My question is I wonder. I just wonder if, let's say Bryce Young does come back and he is playing, which they hadn't fully came out and said that he is or isn't. But if he does, and it's an AC sprain and AC joint deal, I wonder, Tennessee's got a pretty good pass rush. They sacked Jaden Daniels 5 times. He's going to have to get hit and, landing and, does he finish the game if he stays in it is my question, because that's going to be a painful injury to play through.
Chris, let me ask the question here, because I think I expect the same answer from all of us. Even if Bryce Young plays, do any of us think that he's playing at full strength or anywhere close to full strength? I just don't think so. And look, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I know you talked about it with Trey. Not saying a 50% Bryce Young couldn't beat a lot of teams, but that's just my question. Like, I think we're in that territory of, if he does play, I just don't think we should come out with the expectation that he's going to be what he has been, just because of the recovery to this point. And maybe I'll be proven wrong about that, but that's my biggest question. So,
well, Blayne's probably the better one. I think Blayne's been on the coaching side of this. I'm sure they're going to shoot him full of all kinds of stuff to get him ready to play. And I'm wondering, how much will he be feeling? Will it be a pain management thing, or will it be a strength thing, or will it be both?
Yeah, it's a pain tolerance type deal, because I think he'll have a little assistance, like you said, in that in terms of the field part of it. But then as things go on and maybe where you may see it is, even if they do have it a little bit numbed up or whatever, you may see it in just a lack of zip, in terms of the ball, just not able to get enough behind it. Because even if you can't feel the pain, your body still is responding a little bit. So I think it's going to affect his throws a little bit, and it'll be interesting. But the thing about Bryce Young is he's got plenty of arm. So even if it is affected a little bit, like you said, Blake, even at 80% of a Bryce Young, 75, 80%, could be good enough. And he's just got to be able to be confident enough to go out there and play with no fear. Like when he typically goes out there and plays, he's able to evade rushes and all that kind of stuff, and then makes plays down the field. So we'll see if anything else is on his mind.
By the way, Chris, Tyler Ratz, we're going to go live from Knoxville this weekend. We'd love to, Tyler, but unfortunately, that's not going to be. Maybe a year from now, we'll be going live in Knoxville. But this season,
somebody wants to send a $5,000 super chat. Right
there you go.
We'll make it happen.
Super chat. If you hit the super chat right now, you want to pay for our trip to Knoxville, hit that little heart down there. It's got the $ sign in it. Boy, you guys could come through and send us to Knoxville for the game. No, but in all seriousness, you can hit that super chat and you can contribute anything you'd like to this fine establishment that we call the Southeastern 14 YouTube channel.
We will be live from suburban Nashville, 2 of us, and then Blayne will be, of course, in Georgia.
Yep.
Where we'll have multiple TVs set up with the complication of a Braves game going on too.
Yeah, it's going to be the Braves got to, while we're going right here, Braves got to get it in action. I think most of Southeastern 14 territory can be categorized as Braves country. So everybody
give us a shout out in the chat if you're a Braves fan. That's our rooting interest here. My family is in Colorado this week. It is fall break here in our area, and so my wife's family lives out there, and my son always wants to be with my wife. Like if it's, if she's gone an hour, it's what's wrong, where's mom? And David was like, Mom, I think I want to stay home with dad. Like, wow.
There we go.
And then come to find out, I think instead of so much wanting to be with dad, he was concerned that
You wouldn't
they
see the
might
best.
not have the Braves games on in Colorado.
Absolutely.
We had in-laws diligently working to make sure that the cable packages had those channels. But anyway,
Chris, let's address this question here. And look, I'm the only person who's picked Tennessee to win of our contingent here. Although I think Chris picked Tennessee to win if Bryce Young.
I was going to
play.
say my
You had
condition
the
was
caveat.
yes, my caveat is if Bryce Young is not reasonably Bryce Young, I think Tennessee will win. Otherwise, I think Alabama will. And I think I will take Tennessee in the spread either way.
That's what Mark asked the question, what if Tennessee just blows Bama out? I don't see that scenario happening. I just, maybe we'll see how it plays out. But look, my Tennessee pick, guys, I was really confident on Sunday night when we did this, but now I don't know. We're just and Blayne's going to bring up some stats about Tennessee's passing defense.
Look here, the Knoxville Travel Fund has been started by the Harrison family.
Yes,
we appreciate that, Harrison family. You've kept things in business. So
the
Harrison family always
coming
coming through
here tonight.
So there you go. All right, let's look at some of the other stuff we've got coming in here. Let's see. I don't know. It's just there's so much coming in here and look, Mark also brings up that he pressures, so that's something to think about.
Byron Young himself leads the SEC in pressures. He's averaging 4.8 quarterback pressures per game. So Byron Young can get after the quarterback. The question is, can the Tennessee secondary hold up? Because they are 128th in the country in pass defense. They're allowing 307 yards per game passing. Now, I know some of that was bolstered by the 453-yard pass performance that Anthony Richardson had, but listen to what I just said. Anthony Richardson had 453 passing yards against Tennessee. He had 66 last week against Missouri. So I just don't know what to think about the back end if Tennessee can't get home. They're going to need to not only pressure Bryce Young or pressure Jalen Milroe, they're going to need to get them to the ground because both of them are capable. If you take your shot and you miss, they can hurt you with their legs, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. My biggest thing is looking at yards per pass play. Because I think sacks matter. Like, yes, it's great when you get a completion and whatever, but what if you don't get the pass off?
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They've got to get home. If they just pressure the quarterback and they don't sack him, which I know they got 5 sacks last week against Jaden Daniels, but Alabama, their 2 quarterbacks are typically very good at eluding said sacks, and they've had to do it a lot because Alabama's offensive line has struggled at times. So it's going to be interesting to see, LSU to I think Sticks has a thing here on. He said they gave up yards with well-timed blitzes, but they only allow 17 per game. LSU moved the ball on Tennessee. They just weren't able to finish drives, which is a credit to Tennessee. Now, will the same be said about Alabama? I don't know. You look at that Texas game earlier this year, and you'd have to say Alabama didn't finish those drives very well. So we'll see.
Well, here's what I'm getting at, guys. Okay, 223 pass attempts against Tennessee, 1,537 yards. Per pass, that comes out to what? 6.9 per attempt, which is not awful. You throw in sacks, it's 6.1 per attempt. I just don't think their pass defense is as bad as everybody thinks it is. I think it has been skewed by situation. and by garbage yards. I mean, we're going to look. I think that Alabama. Don't get me wrong. If Alabama has got Bryce Young healthy, I think Tennessee's vulnerable there. I just don't think it is Arkansas or Vanderbilt's pass defense we're talking about. I think that that's a per game average, but when you dig in a little bit, I don't think it is as problematic as it appears just in that 128 ranking.
Maybe so. They just blew me away when I was looking into it today. That
Yeah.
Anytime you're in the 120s in a given category, at what point are we putting lipstick on a pig there? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because eventually you're giving up yards, but I mean, the front has certainly made up for it, Blake, in terms of their against the run. They're number 11 in the country. Tennessee is only giving up 2.79 yards per carry.
Let's flip this to the other side, because this, Blayne, is something Chris and I were talking about the other day. I don't even know if we did it on a show. I think we may have just been talking about it randomly. When you take a top offense like Tennessee, which Alabama, by the way, is also a top offense. Let's not forget that. I keep bringing that up. Like, it's not like Alabama's just chopped liver when it comes to their offense. You take a top offense like Tennessee against a top defense like Alabama, and historically, like, I would love to see what the numbers are on that in terms of when you have a top offense against a top defense, who wins that battle. Now, I think one of the things, Blayne, I was pointing out to Chris was you could certainly look at Georgia last year, right? But you could see what they did against the top offenses and their ability to shut teams down. So I think that is probably the thing, because the one thing I pointed out is, and this is not knocking Alabama, but when you look at the offenses they've played to this point, who's the best offense Alabama's played thus far this season?
I guess Texas, when Quinn Ewers was
right?
there.
Yeah, like that's probably your best sample size, because again, they've played Utah State, Texas, Louisiana Monroe, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and that's not to take anything away from Arkansas, but like I
Arkansas
said,
is
I
a
think
good offense.
right, but I think it was different because you're almost having to flip your approach, because the game got out of hand to a point to where it's like it's one of those things too. So I think that's my thing, is I just haven't seen an offense like this, and I'm so curious to kind of see what that looks like going up against this kind of offense. And that's not to say Alabama's defense is overrated by any means. We know that Chris is on the pushing Will Anderson for Heisman here, and I think a lot of us are like, look at why not. I just find that kind of fascinating to think about. So
yeah, I do wonder if Anderson has that monster. I mean, he's not had a flash game this year like he's had before. That's a good point that I had not thought of until now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Tennessee's left tackle, I believe, is returning for this game. I think he was out a game or two before, so that'll be a matchup there to see. See how healthy the left tackle is for Tennessee lined up against Will Anderson. I know they move Will Anderson all around, but when they have that cheetah package out there, Chris, it may not be just Will Anderson that has that kind of game. It could be Dallas Turner that has that kind of game. It could be Chris Braswell that has that kind of game. They've got that kind of talent out there. So it's going to be interesting. What's Tyler saying there, Blake? I didn't.
I think this was in reference to the conversation you guys were having on the opposite side of the ball. The conversation we had before I turned it to Tennessee's offense versus Alabama's defense.
Yeah, that's true. Some of it's tackling too in the secondary. That they give up more yards than they should because of missed tackles. Not tackling the ball right when it's caught. So with that's one thing that I know ailed them in the Florida game a little bit. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna find out because two things are gonna be tested here. Tennessee's perceived struggling pass defense at times, and Alabama's receivers have yet to just really impress in a game yet. So, which one becomes more true? Does Alabama, who can shake the stigma, so to speak, right, Chris?
Yeah, Mark Jones pointed something out here I want to bring up because it is interesting, but there's also a point off that. Alabama does get a lot of penalties, 72 yards a game. You know who gets more? Tennessee, 79. But with 100 and whatever thousand screaming fans. I mean, that probably does get you an extra procedure penalty or two, or that kind of thing. So that is an interesting aspect of this game too.
The atmosphere is going to be ridiculous. I mean, it's going to be loud for sure. But the question is, how fast is Tennessee able to start? Because that'll get them rolling. If Alabama, let's say Tennessee wins the toss, defers, Bryce Young's the quarterback, they come out and they march right down the field and put seven points on the board on a 7-8 play drive. That'll take the starch out of the fans in Rocky Top a little bit there. But the adverse can be said, Blake, they come out and get a 3 and out, then that place is going to be going nuts.
Yeah. It's just, again, as we've said, there's so many interesting parts to this game that again, we literally could spend this entire hour breaking it down, because it is the most talked about game in the country to this point, this season. And I think it's just because there are so many different elements. And the thing is, guys, it's like I think about, what our conversation would be right now if we knew all the elements in play, meaning we knew Bryce Young was going to play or was not going to play. We knew Cedric Tillman was going to play or not going to play. Even the McCullough situations. It's, like we said, Chris, you talked to Trey Wallace, like, you can say what you want, but like, he's still a starting safety, right? Like, he's still the guy that you have in a secondary that, as Blayne has pointed out, has given up a lot. So
he's played a lot of football.
There's just so much to this game, and it's something. So
Braves up 2-0.
Yes, they are. Fine. They've made me so nervous this postseason through 2 games. If you're a coach of either team and you win the toss, do you take the ball?
Oh no! I mean, people say make so much of that. It's the Bill Belichick principle, right? They call it the middle 8, the last 4 minutes of the first half, the first 4 minutes of the second half, and a lot of it has to do with getting that extra possession. Tennessee, I think you definitely want to defer if you win the toss, because, like you said, you got just 20 years of drunken frustration and excitement built up there in Knoxville that's ready to just be at a fever pitch at about 3.
Well, here's the comment of the evening right now. We need to do a check-in on Tyler. Depending on how this game goes, we need to have a check-in with Tyler to make sure his wife is not going into labor while this happens. Tyler, that's what I want to know. What if she goes into labor during the game? What is the protocol here? You got to have something in place here. Maybe get a driver while you watch the game on the phone on the way.
All right,
something like that.
I'm calling you an Uber. All right, have you to the hospispel.
We need a super chat for Tyler, for the baby, for the hospital fund for Saturday.
Yes.
Like, I'll make it at halftime. Okay, I'll be down there by half.
Oh man, but okay, if you're Tennessee, you win the toss. Is there part of you that wants to know as quickly as possible what you're looking at in the other huddle? Is that a healthy Bryce Young? Is that Jalen Milroe?
Oh, you'll know. They'll know.
It doesn't matter, but
they'll know. They'll have people on the other end of the field where they're warming up, and they'll see who's taking snaps with the number 1 center and all that kind of stuff. Trust me, I covered Georgia's games all last year on the field, and the biggest, most anticipated thing was who was going to take the snap of the first set. Was it Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels? So I'm sure there'll be tweets going out at 3 o'clock all on that. But Tyler's saying, what now? He's calling the hospital.
All right, so listen, Tyler's calling the hospital. He's going to get it on CBS before he goes there. Sticks is saying get him a Hulu Live subscription, so that way he's got it ready to go on the phone, anything he needs.
Oh,
and then Mark proclaims the baby's first words are going to be "Go Vols." So there you go. A lot of help for Tyler coming in here on the live stream. We don't just talk football; we talk live. So
when we have the live stream after that game, we're going to need Tyler to check in just to let us know. I just think we're going to need to know what's going on.
I think we'll know what kind of environment that live stream is going to be in. after that game because either, depending on how this thing unfolds, one of us may be wearing the bag of shame. So we'll see, Chris. We might have to bring out the bag of shame. Right. If my pick goes awry, which picking against Nick Saban has happened before, the bag of shame may make its return. So
the Phillies pitching is also going awry as we speak. 3-0 Atlanta. Okay, time for a word from our friends at Stakes. Guys, if you're in the chat and you're not in Stakes, do us a favor. Help us out. Help yourselves out. College football season is about to go bananas, and the best place to make your sports prediction without risking any money is Stakes. Predict anything in the game. Take the game time excitement to the next level when you compete with your friends and other fans on the Stakes app. During the weekly competitions, you can build your predictions track record by winning competition and earning NFT trophies for making the perfect calls. Go to playwithstakes.com/14. Sign up, use the invite code Southeastern14 for a double welcome bonus. Tyler's going to be making picks in the Stakes app from the hospital. I can feel it.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we've got. Here's what we've got in the Stakes app this week. I've mislabeled the game in one of them, so let's throw that one out. That's good to call. We have outright who wins, Tennessee, Alabama, and we've got Tennessee as a 7.5-point favorite who covers the number. We also had a straight up in that one, which I botched, but we'll get that fixed. But hey, users can put your own questions in there too. So if you're a Tennessee or Alabama fan out there, you want to do a Hendon Hooker versus whoever Alabama's quarterback you think is going to be on total offense or whatever, you can put your own questions in there, and we'll try to spot those and put our opinions on them.
Yeah. Be sure to go to Stakes. Also, be sure if you want to leave the super chats, as I always say, hit that little button down there. Donate whatever you'd like to us as well. Also, as Harrison family always says, there's one thing that's free, guys, and that is hitting that like button and also subscribing. So do both of those if you are in here enjoying what you're seeing right now, enjoying this conversation. Hit that like button. That helps us out. And also hit that subscribe button if you have not already.
Are we allowed to remove goalposts from stadiums anymore?
They'll rip it out of the ground.
So if there's one game, yes, it would be this one. So,
well, I'm not talking about capability. I'm sure Tennessee fans could manage to get some goalposts out of the ground. I'm just saying they security and
sure you can.
Listen,
I
feel like we haven't seen a goalpost tear down in a few years.
As Larry Munson said that time when Georgia finally beat Florida, there was going to be some property destroyed tonight. There will be in Knoxville for sure. Absolutely.
That was the great Lindsey Scott clip.
Absolutely.
I've watched that one a few times. That was tremendous.
Well, what else we got, Chris? I mean, are there any other games this weekend? I know
there are other games.
I mean, we spent half an hour on this, and I know everyone that is here. A lot of people are here for Tennessee, Alabama, and we understand. But we do try to probably won't give as much equal love this week to the other games. But here's a question for both you guys: What's the most fascinating game outside of that? Is it just as simple as saying Kentucky, Mississippi State? If Will Levis plays, or is it the Arkansas, BYU, Florida, LSU? You got some options here on these, I think.
I think it's Arkansas, BYU, because Arkansas's, got Sam Pittman came out and said, hey, we got to find a way to stop the bleeding. We got to get back on a roll. You got KJ Jefferson coming off head injury. He's coming back. And then now BYU is 15-1 in their last 16 home games. And that's since the start of the 2020 season. It is not easy to play out in Provo. But Chris, you pointed out that line has moved. BYU started out as an early favorite, and now Arkansas is a favorite. And I looked on FanDuel and different places, and it's gone up to 1.5 points over there. As much as that, I've seen it. So, fascinating game to me with all the different factors that are going on.
I like LSU, Florida. I just feel like those may be the two hardest teams for me to put a finger on from week to week. and seeing them matched up. I mean, I think BYU Arkansas is very interesting just because it's how often you see an SEC team go to Provo deal.
Yeah.
But I think that the two SEC teams in one game, to me, trumps the rest. So that I mean, Mississippi State, Kentucky is also interesting if Levis plays. I don't know if it's going to be interesting if he doesn't. But I think LSU Florida to me is fascinating because I just don't know what to expect. I'm kind of defaulting to Florida just because it's home, and I feel like they've been pretty consistent since that South Florida near embarrassment. I've said all year, I just feel like as the year goes on, that felt like a team I wouldn't want to play as they get their culture established there. And I feel like they've been pretty solid. They've run. I'll tell you what, if you want a hidden storyline that doesn't get talked about, Florida runs the ball really, really well.
Yeah, they do. Etienne is a guy that seems like you don't know how he gets the yards he does, but he does. Like he's just kind of slippery that gets in there, and their offensive line is probably the most experienced part of their team, and it's very physical. And Montrell Johnson coming over from Louisiana Lafayette brings some good physicality too. I wish they would run Anthony Richardson more. You speak about the running game. I mean, why are they not using him similar to a Cam Newton or something like that? There's just not many designed runs, but I keep hearing the excuse, well, they're not confident in their backup quarterback situation. Well, I mean, good grief, we're halfway through the season. Is the backup not ready? Because he's always one play away. I mean, I would run Anthony Richardson. What do you think, Blake? Would you? I would.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we've said before, like if you have that capability, why not use it? I feel like we had that discussion early in the season when we started to see some of those struggles a bit. Yeah, why wouldn't you? I think when it's a luxury to have a guy who can do that and at that position. So I think that is definitely a big priority in this game. But it is, I think you're right, Chris. This is one of those games that you maybe get a better understanding. I don't know if, even still at that point, but there's something you'll gain out of this Florida LSU game. By the way, I wanted to bring up again, we talked about this in Arkansas BYU, but it was kind of fascinating, Chris. We did our prediction video, and I said, remember what Arkansas is against the spread in their last 4 games? 0-4. What's BYU against the spread in their last 4 games? 0-4.
0-4.
Somebody's got to cover here, right? So somebody's stopping the slide here with this one. So
how many yards did Anthony Richardson throw for last week? 66.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we're back to the days of Kentucky playing wide receivers at quarterback. The last time we saw one of those kind of numbers in the league.
LSU Florida is a good one. It's going to be interesting with LSU and Florida just because I don't know. I don't know if which team's going to come out and be more consistent is the deal. I mean, they both had up and down performances throughout the year. I think both quarterbacks are electric, so that is a good matchup. But going back to Kentucky a little bit, did last week's loss to South Carolina, did that bolster Will Levis's draft stock even more? They'd be like, look at the absolute disparity of what Kentucky looks like with and without Will Levis. Was that like a boost in his resume for the NFL with them just looking abysmal without him?
I don't know, but it certainly shows you what they are without him. I mean, they got that last touchdown really late with the game over, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean it was a pretty lopsided affair from the beginning. I think with South Carolina how they took care of business, but interesting to see if Mark Stoops' coach team is going to have a lot of pride. So I don't think they're just going to roll over and die for Mississippi State, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's just, again, I mean, it seems like Levis is going to play, right? I think that's the expectation because I think he's practiced the last couple of days, right? I believe that's correct, and someone can correct me.
He said he came out and said he's playing, but
yeah, I mean, I think he's good to go. So
it was a foot injury. Do we find out Was it an ankle? What was it?
A turf
And
toe?
he
Somebody
also
was talking about turf toe. I think I saw it thrown out there. I'm not
he
sure.
also had what, a foot injury? I mean, was it a finger injury? There was something
Oh yeah,
else.
in the Ole Miss game, he came over to the sideline and like his finger was like this way, like it was totally dislocated, and one of the fingers on his throwing hand, I believe. So they popped that thing back in, or maybe it was his offhand. I'm not sure, but it was just totally bent sideways. So he's been battered a little bit this year.
He didn't cut it shaving.
No, didn't cut it shaving. But listen, you won't cut anything shaving either. If you use, and let me get our little trusty deal here. If you use Manscaped right here, you got some problems down there, got some manscapage you got to take care of. Well, listen, our friends over at Manscaped have given us a little promo code, okay, where you can use SEC 14. All right. And you'll be able to get 20% discount. Okay. And free shipping. There's all kinds of good stuff. But listen, no more mess in the bathroom for the wife to get mad at. These things are waterproof. So you can take them in there into the shower, not have to worry about, hair getting everywhere, all that kind of stuff. And really, they get the lawnmower 4.0, no nicks. Okay, you're not going to have to worry about nicks and cuts and all that kind of stuff. Just make sure that you take care of business, unlike Kentucky did last week. Okay, we don't need any. They had some nicks and some cuts, so you would say
No
in
bow
that
nicks
offense.
either.
Yeah, it would not be good. So, but Manscaped, they'll hook you up. Not only do they have the lawnmower 4.0, they also have the nose hair, ear hair trimmer. They've got a full line of, look at this. Look at all these products they have over here. You got all kinds of balms and lotions and colognes. I mean, it's a ridiculous deal over here. You can take care of. Save the balls, okay? Manscaped. All right. So manscaped.com and use the promo code SEC14.
Blake, how do you keep a
Balls.
straight face at this?
Balls. Because the fine folks at Manscaped have sent us their products and they work fantastic. So I can keep a
They
straight face
do.
because
And
I know that
I'm not debating that.
no,
But
they are fantastic. So there's no
Yeah.
laughing matter here. This is serious stuff when you're talking about balls. So
The underwear are comfy too now. Listen,
yeah,
want some good underwear, Manscaped underwear, good stuff.
nice fit.
that's true.
Back to the balls on the field. What else we got here? We got a lot of people sending in their scores. On, let me see if I can find them. I pulled a bunch of stuff up here. So we got a bunch of scores coming in on Bama, Tennessee. We're going to quickly roll through some of these. And I know that there is some back and forth in the chat with the Bama and Tennessee folks, but that's okay. Keep it clean, keep it civil. That's all we ask.
Like Manscaped,
Mark,
keep it clean. There we go.
Keep it clean. That's all you got to do. So a lot of thoughts coming in on this here. By the way, Donovan, good to see you back. Robbie Ashford, maybe number 14 in our quarterback rankings this week, Chris, but number 1 in the hearts. So
Good to see Donovan.
Donovan, our Auburn basketball preview is out. If you have not seen that yet, we picked them last in the SEC. So there you go.
Alabama basketball is coming. We've had some questions on that.
Folks, it's not coming this week because there's a big football game this weekend.
We have more pressing Alabama matters to discuss first.
I'm not insane. So we're not doing that this week. We'll do it next week. So anyways, I'm going to scroll through some of this again. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button if you're in this. We appreciate you guys. It really helps us out a lot. So be sure to do that if you can. If there's anything else you want to talk about, let us know. Yes, Donovan. Hendon Hooker needs to protect some balls this weekend if Tennessee's gonna have a chance to win this game. Aaron, aka Matt, we appreciate the support of the show. And yes, so there you go.
Let's see. Mississippi State, Kentucky. Let's say Levis plays. How do you guys feel about that?
They got sustained drives. I mean, they were able to, it's been too, even with Levis at times, there's been inconsistencies in them being able to possess the football. They've relied on some chunk plays from Barry and Brown and people like that to get them. It's like even when they should have won the game against Ole Miss, like people forget that it was a procedure penalty that cost them the game against Ole Miss. They should have one loss right now, and that's South Carolina without Will Levis. So I don't think everybody needs to write Kentucky off completely because Will Levis, I think, does make that big of a difference. But all right, they're getting testy in the chat now. All right, but I think Will Levis does make a good difference, and it just makes Chris Rodriguez that much more, potent in their offense. But that's a good, well-coached Zach Arnett defense over there for Mississippi State. And Jet Johnson, those kind of guys at linebackers, they seem like they've been around forever. I think this is going to be a physical contest. I think it's the over-under on that one, Chris, is only 46.5. So I think they're expecting both of these defenses to play relatively well.
By the way, I did, Chris, one of the things I was going to mention is what we talked about in the preview. Home team 8-0 against the spread in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. Mississippi State 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games in Lexington. So if you're looking at it from a betting standpoint, that's an interesting note. So
I like State to win no matter who Kentucky's quarterback is. I cannot decide what kind of game it's going to be. Kentucky just has not scored a lot of points, even with Levis. State's got a really good, underrated defense. State can score a lot of points, but it doesn't always do that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and they can be prone at times, Mississippi State can, to having some moments of lapses in terms of, okay, a turnover and then surrender a quick touchdown. That kind of stuff hurt them against LSU. I just don't know. I don't know if Kentucky has shown the ability to take advantage of those mistakes here recently. I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be a big challenge for Chris, for that Kentucky crowd, because there was people ripping the Kentucky crowd for leaving the game early and all that kind of stuff against South Carolina, calling them fair weather fans and everything. So
they didn't have much to watch, honestly.
They didn't have much to watch, but we'll see how that they've played. In my opinion, they've played better on the road in the last year than they have at home. So we'll see how they play with it being a home game. I agree with you. I think Mississippi State does win, though.
Well, here's a couple numbers that concern me if I'm Kentucky, no matter who's quarterback. State's got 8 picks this year, and Kentucky's given up 25 sacks. You see Levis force throws at times. The backup, you don't want to be in that situation again. I think that, and State's a team. How many times has State returned pick sixes the last few years? No, where Kentucky kind of is sneaky good as Kentucky does not shoot itself in the foot with penalties and is really good on special teams. And this is one of those games, like, you could see Mississippi State get a pick 6 and then Kentucky return the next kickoff to even it out.
Yeah, that's the question. Do they kick the ball to Barry and Brown when they do score? Because
I would not.
I would do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way,
kick it out of bounds. Let them have it at the 35 if you can't kick it out of the end zone.
Speaking of Barry,
man,
Chris,
it is. Go ahead.
Barry has made his way into the room. I think he's out of camera view, but he is here. I don't know where Oreo's at, but
Oreo's 5 feet over my right shoulder on the floor.
Barry has made his entrance. So there you go. Not even Barry can stop Barry Brown. So all right, let me pull up a couple of things here. Donovan, yes, I know you took it personally, Donovan. Again, we will pick Auburn in the middle of the pack just to piss you off. So We'll see. By the way, SEC Basketball Media Day next week. Chris and I will be there. So,
Yes, sir.
We'll have some coverage for you guys if you're a basketball
If
fan.
you're
I
in
know a
the-
lot of you
if
guys
you're
here
in the,
football. I get it. But
If you're in the Birmingham area, come by and say hello.
Peyton, I know you've asked several times who we have winning in the Tennessee-Alabama game. Blayne picked Alabama.
Unequivocally.
I picked Tennessee. Although my confidence has gone in reverse since we made our picks on Sunday night. I think this is all, to me, dependent on a lot of factors, but I'm going to stick with my Tennessee pick for now and bring out the bag of shame if Alabama wins. And Chris has decided to probably be the smart pick here and wait to see if Bryce Young
What's the
plays. If
baby?
Young plays, yes. Chris is going Bryce Young in Alabama if he plays. If he doesn't play, Chris is going Tennessee. So there you go. But I'm
Okay,
also willing
what
to
if your
accept
life
bribes,
depended on it
so-
and you had to make a bet right now, not knowing what was going to happen?
Oh God,
I'd take
if
Alabama.
that I take Alabama. To be honest with you, if that's how far we're going, then I would have no choice but to do that. But since I've been the high man on Tennessee, I'm gonna stick with it, and we'll see how that turns out. So there you go.
We have not talked any Auburn Ole Miss,
I mean,
which is just crazy most years.
I'm just
We're to
surprised
this
the
point of the
numbers
season.
that low.
I am
Yeah.
too. I've heard it taken the other way. I just don't think Auburn can score enough. Ole Miss's offense. Look, it was Vandy. Vandy's defense is, I know we've talked about Arkansas. Vandy has said, "Hold my beer," when that unit's on the field. Jackson Dart looked really good last week throwing the ball. He did have a couple of stupid throws, which is an issue with him, and you can't just overlook it. But Vandy took away their run, and he just found, oh goodness, who was the kid that set the school record last week? I've drawn a total blank. But anyway,
I have it right here in just a minute. I could have told you too. I talked about it earlier this week, but yeah, Jackson. He had 247 yards.
yes,
Is the receiver that had that? Let me look that up real quick.
it was Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, Mingo. There we go. Mingo had himself quite the day. Maybe the Mingo ate your defense.
Andy Graham for Mingo.
That's the top 5 on the live streams thus far, I think.
The Mingo ate your defense.
Yeah.
Mingo.
Let's hope it doesn't eat
Mingo.
Tyler's baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe the Mingo
Like,
ate your defense.
This is a really good point here by Donovan. Like, what if this is Kevin auditioning for the Auburn job? Like, Auburn fans all in on Ole Miss by 40. So,
Listen, Ole Miss, Kiffin's already shown some empathy for an opposing coach that would go on to be fired. He did that with Jeff Collins. He was like, listen, we could have thrown the ball more, but I felt bad basically for him over there. Didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. So I could see the same thing happening for Auburn. But, hey, listen, Auburn gave up 292 rushing yards to a Georgia team who has not ran the ball terrifically until that point in the season. And I think Zach Evans and Quinshot Judkins are two of the better running backs in the conference. I think Zach Evans will have a huge day against Auburn this week. I really do.
Okay, you were at that game last week, correct?
No, I ended up not going to that one.
Okay.
I had a little logistical deal there, but no, it was interesting. I watched every snap of it though.
Did Auburn throw in the towel? I'm asking because I didn't see it.
No, they got pushed around in the second half. Georgia's offensive line, which it's had the size, the stature to do, but they really leaned on. And two, Georgia put in a freshman running back named Branson Robinson, who led the team in rushing last week, 98 yards rushing, 8.2 yards per carry. And he's a different back than Georgia has seen all year. Different than Kendall Milton, different than Kenny McIntosh. This guy, it makes you reminisce back to Nick Chubb That's how this young man looks. He set the Mississippi State high school record for deadlifts. He deadlifted over 700 pounds in high school. He's got legs the size of tree trunks. So this guy brings a different dimension to Georgia's run game. So I'm sure Vandy will see a good bit of him this weekend.
Quick word from a sponsor, BetUS. You will notice that we have got our lines provided by BetUS. BetUS is back for its 28th year of NFL action with industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%. BetUS offers members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, UFC, and MLB, and of course, college football too. If you're looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, you got them. How about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service? BetUS has that too. Log into BetUS, that is betus.com, or call 800-792-3887. BetUS, where the game begins, you get a 125% sign-up bonus, 100% sports, 25% on casino. To claim, use promo code JOIN125, and that link is below in the ticker. It is https://bit.ly/BetUS-Southeastern 14. So sign up with that. Get yourself a little bonus and help us out too.
By the way, Chris, as we are a lot of people in the chat here, and again, if you're just joining us, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out all of our fine sponsors. But Donovan says that one day he'd like to call into the show and give some in-depth expert analysis. Now, Chris, do we have some stuff in the works that may allow for that to happen at some point in the future?
We do have things in the works. The question with the things in the works is not the desire, nor the ideas. It is when to launch. As you and I we put a lot of time and energy on this, but we also have other responsibilities in the sports world, family, stuff like that. But we are contemplating very hard. Should I say it?
All right, here's what we're doing, guys. We're expanding our coverage here, okay? That is what
Yes.
we have in the works. We're going to expand what we're doing, which may include a daily show at some point in the future. We're not going to give you an exact time, but if you want that in the chat, give us a thumbs up. If you'd want a daily show, if you'd want some extra bonus material, perhaps for our faithful members, we will have some options for that as well. Some membership stuff that will give you guys a lot of kind of cool bonus stuff as well. That's pretty much the gist of it, Chris. We don't want to go too in depth just yet, but we have some stuff in the works for our faithful, loyal watchers, viewers. I was going to say readers, but unless you're just reading the descriptions, that wouldn't be a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys, so that's why we are hard at work on kind of expanding our coverage moving forward. So,
yeah, I'm hoping we're doing a live daily show in the mornings no later than January.
There you go.
And maybe sooner. We've got to make sure we can put it off. We do not want to start something that we cannot finish. And if you're new to the channel, we do baseball, basketball, football. We actually started this channel with the idea we were going to cover a lot of basketball and baseball. I'm the baseball guy. Blake is the basketball guy. And Blayne's our football guy, though we all know a lot about all those sports. But we weren't sure what kind of audience we'd get for football, and y'all have answered that pretty quickly.
I think SEC folks care about football. That's what we've learned.
Apparently they do. Not that we doubted that. We just there's a lot of folks out there covering it. So yes, Lee, go Braves indeed. 5 outs to go here with the 3-run lead.
I like the fact that I can watch this.
Oh my goodness!
Behind Blayne.
Did you see the play Austin Riley just made?
Championship shirt from last year
My goodness. Austin Riley was a Mississippi State baseball commit. There's our SEC tie-in.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
There's several with the Braves. Dansby Swanson, Kyle Wright, the starting pitcher tonight, went to Vandy. And tomorrow night's starter for Philly is Aaron Nola, who went to LSU and was a stud.
Could you have a better name than Nola and go to LSU? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not the most Cajun name ever, but Nola, that yeah, that's perfect.
YouTube just sent me here. Perfect. Hey,
That's
we're glad
great.
that it did. We're glad that it did.
Tell your friends. Because as Mark says, it just means more here. So yeah. All right, guys, this is our official 5-ish minute warning. So anything else you want to talk about, send in your comments, your questions, all that good stuff. And be sure, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And,
I love Brock talking about the rat poison over here, and it makes me think again. It makes me think again about Saban's comments after the Georgia SEC championship game last year, where he said,
Yeah.
"Usually, you guys give fatal rat poisoning," and he said it that way. He said fatal for some reason, like he had a momentary stroke or something. But then he said, "But this week it was yummy rat poison." So I think there's people out there giving Saban the bulletin. Here's one thing you don't do, and you can't say this as much about Belichick anymore, but you used to not give any bulletin board material to Saban or Belichick. Now that Belichick doesn't have Tom Brady, we all know that it was really Tom Brady that was the big deal and all that, not Belichick as much. But Saban has continued to do it with various different quarterbacks. So you just don't give him any bulletin board material. So hopefully Tennessee players have not done so, but the media certainly is.
All right, going to give a quick shout to our other sponsor, Prize Picks, before I want us to give our own picks on the way out here. Prize Picks is the best legal way to use player props. Easy way to play daily fantasy. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections. You can win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you against the projected numbers. Prize Picks has a lot of stats to choose from, including points, rebounds, assists, fantasy points, you name it. You can take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes. Every sport you can think of: NFL, college football, NBA, basketball, MLB, soccer, MMA, and more. Has an award-winning, easy-to-use mobile app, both on the App Store and Google Play. 4.8 star rated. You can make your picks in 60 seconds or less. So go to Prize Picks, and again, that promo is in our ticker, https://bit.ly/SEC14 Prize Picks is where you go.
by the way,
Wait,
shout out to
trucking
the
made it in at
returning
the last minute.
back again, and we appreciate the super chat. Yes. I mean, Blayne can answer this one. Can Georgia repeat at this point?
Yeah.
Blayne?
Yeah. Georgia can repeat. They've got a ton of talent that is growing on that defensive side of the ball.
Dogs are barking.
And hey, they're not healthy right now either. So I think you get everybody healthy. Georgia's gonna be just fine.
Let's look at some more interesting ones here. By the way, fun that never ends. Yes, we did cover Florida LSU. We did that. Maybe check
15
around
minutes ago.
Check around the 30
20?
to 35-ish minute mark of this video. We did talk about that a bit in that one. Georgia Reload,
and we also do previews of every game every week. We usually put those out Sunday morning, so we did a more dated one of those. Although really nothing changed in that game.
Monday morning, by the way.
That's on our channel. So that's about what do we go, 10, 12 minutes on that?
Yeah. So we've got a full preview video you can find as well of the Florida LSU game. Chris and Blayne broke it down. Yeah, about a good 12 minutes or so. It's an interesting question because I think this has kind of been a common thread people have brought up about Alabama. Let's say Alabama just blows out A&M last week. Is it any different in terms of like the mindset this week? Just in terms of, I think a lot of people, and look, I may be guilty of this, of maybe the people who are leaning way towards Tennessee here, and I don't mean blowout scenario, but I mean pretty confident Tennessee can win this game. Is it just because of how close that game was last week against A&M? And I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Yeah, for sure.
I think if I'm a Tennessee fan watching that, I'm going, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Because that if there was a get your attention scenario, and I was thinking about this today. When's the last time that Alabama was just really disappointing 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah, that doesn't happen a whole lot for sure. So it will be interesting to see how much Saban, Kirby, team coaches like that, they really kind of love it when they can get a close win because all that does is it provides them with ammo to go in there and kind of correct their team a little bit. So,
all right, best bets, guys, this week. There's not a lot of stuff that sticks out to me. I do like Mississippi State covering 4.5 at Kentucky.
I like Ole Miss 14.5 Auburn.
I like that one too. If I had to pick two, that's probably what I would go with. We're not professional bettors, don't want to be professional bettors. We just watch a lot of SEC football. So
I think I'm probably in on the Ole Miss one against Auburn. The others are just like the Arkansas line moving the way it did. I think I probably would have been on Arkansas had it stayed the other way. I don't want any part of Florida LSU. I think that's the one where I'm just like, stay far away from. Like, I don't have a great feel on that game at all. So
yeah,
that's probably the one I'm staying away from. So
you were more stay away from BYU and Arkansas. That
well,
was like
it's
the
been,
one game you wouldn't touch. But is the movement changed that for you?
well, I think the movement and knowing that if you're assuming that KJ Jefferson's going to play now, I think at the time we expected that, but we didn't really know for sure. But it was the thing too, Chris, of right. Both teams are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games. So it's like, you're not exactly filled with confidence there in that scenario, but I don't know. I feel like Arkansas can maybe get some things done there. So we'll see.
super chat here.
Justin, we appreciate the super chat.
Before we get there, I mean, the one thing that I noticed today, and I said this earlier in the show, so I'll repeat it if people missed it. If you look at line movements, the public seems to be very bullish on the status of all the injured quarterbacks. I mean, the over-under has moved, 8 points on UT Florida since it came out in some places.
You mean
on LSU, Florida?
No, okay.
No, I mean Tennessee, Alabama.
Okay. Gotcha.
Kentucky went from a 7.5 point dog to 4.5, which tells me Will Levis is playing. Who else we got? Oh, Jefferson. That one moved from BYU a 2-point favorite to Arkansas a 1-point favorite, which tells me people are optimistic he's going to play. And I've missed one, and I've gone blank.
I mean, it's a quarterback-driven game, so I mean that's how it goes. But Justin Holland here wants us to talk about the SEC coaches and the coaches and how they rank. Who would y'all rank number 1 if we had to just do 5? Because you can get in minutia in there. If you had to do the top 5 this year based off performance, what would you do?
Okay, my coach of the year right now is Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
Season stops today. We don't play another game. I suspect he wins coach of the year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably so. People are gonna laugh. You'd have to consider Kirby Smart for it too, because what other coach can lose 15 NFL draft picks, a record? No more have ever been picked in the modern era, and the defense is still good. So Heupel won. I put Kirby right behind him. Maybe Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, and then you could take your pick at 5. I mean, I don't know. The rest of them have been. I think Clark Lee. Heck, Clark
Shane
Lee.
Beamer's done a good job. Clark Lee's done a good job. I mean, who you wouldn't have in there? You wouldn't have Jimbo Fisher in there.
Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I don't know that that's fair, but you wouldn't have Brian Harsin in there.
Mike Leach has got to be in there somewhere, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I
yeah.
was going to say Leach is, and that's going to depend on how they finish, because
Yeah.
what's left for them is brutal.
But to this point is the question. So I mean, I feel like
But to this
Oh, yeah,
point, I
you're
mean,
right.
yeah,
I forgot
absolutely.
totally about
yeah,
Pirate over there.
yeah.
That's the thing.
So-
You kind of honestly forget that Mississippi State is in the SEC. You really do, because I don't know if it's the
I'm not
I don't know
forgotten.
I don't know if it's the maroon and they just kind of blend in over there or what. But yeah. So Mississippi State, definitely Mike Leach deserves some credit as well. So.
By the way, we're gonna go
Nick
straight to
Saban's-
Justin's next super chat here. And Justin has someone pointed out in the comments, David pointed out in the comments, yes. Is AJ Swan a top 10 quarterback in the SEC? Chris, this week we had him ranked 9th, I believe.
We sure did.
So, and you can explain why if you want to further, but he's, I mean, I pointed out my case for him in terms of his numbers. But I think he is. So, yeah.
He takes care of the football.
Yeah.
That's a big component of it. If you value the football, that's part of making you a good quarterback.
Blayne, you cover a lot of prep football down there in Georgia. What was the buzz on him out of high school?
There was, I mean, he kept coming to the University of Georgia, like coming on visits and coming on camps and things like that. So people were, curious if Georgia would get involved, especially at one point before Gunnar Stockton was committed to him. Gunnar Stockton at one point was committed to South Carolina before the firing over there. All that kind of stuff. So I mean, it was interesting to see, but he's a big arm guy that's got a big arm and was viewed as, cognitively very sound as well. So obviously being at Vanderbilt, not just as a player, but a student athlete. So AJ Swan got rave reviews. He had other offers from several other big places, but ultimately viewed Vanderbilt as the best place for him. So
I'll ask.
Yeah, I
Blayne
know
real
he
quickly,
originally
Chris.
committed to Maryland and then flipped. Go ahead.
I was going to ask Blayne. I mean, Blayne, this week I think we did our quarterback rankings and we had Swan ahead of Ashford, Cook, King, Rattler, Richardson.
And and the
Agreed?
guys below him have been turnover machines. Those bottom five.
yeah, no, I think that's.
So
I
don't
think
think you go
more
any
than-
lower.
No, I'd have to look at the guys above him to see if he could go any higher, honestly, because
I think
do feel
Dart
like-
and Daniels were the two we had ahead of him, right,
Yeah.
Chris? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Jaden Daniels this is kind of a big prove it game for him that in this Florida game, because this is one that they're gonna need him to get rolling, because LSU, he's their leading rusher, and LSU doesn't run the football great in terms of running backs, and Florida, that's been one of their weaknesses this year, that they've allowed people to run the football very well, but it's weakness on weakness. So when that happens, typically you just get to go the other way, and we'll see if Jaden Daniels can, we'll see if he can have a kind of a statement game for LSU against Florida.
by the way, quickly, Justin, we appreciate the kind words. The live streams, as we said at the beginning, a lot of fun. We love doing these, and you guys, as always, have been great tonight. But Chris, anything else, and we can wrap it up.
Yeah, let's get to a few questions. Kyle R says, does Missouri make a quarterback change next week against Vandy? Missouri off this week. Is their backup right now Horn? I haven't checked their depth chart lately.
I think Sam Horn is the guy, but I don't know. I don't know if the Missouri baseball coaches want Horn playing right now.
Yeah, Horn was a potential top 2-3 round major league guy, and I guess threw out a number too high. So he's doing 2 at Missouri. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Cook has been okay. He's not been terrible. It's just a weird deal how they've got this best receiver in the country and they cannot get him the ball.
Yep.
Best rated out of high school last year. So,
Tyler, best of luck with everything this weekend. Let us know how everything goes. Hopefully your wife is not sent into labor from this Tennessee-Alabama game. Harrison family.
Any other questions we didn't get to? Blake, you're kind of the monitor
look, there
of
may
the
have been,
questions
but
here.
we do the best we can sometimes, guys. Sometimes we just miss some, but I try to save every one of them that I can. So if I skipped them, we will get to them on the next video. And yes, Justin Pushing, hit that like button, guys. We appreciate it. So congrats to Tyler from the Harrison family.
Any mustard bottles get thrown? That's a question in the chat.
Who knows?
Or is it ketchup for Alabama?
Mayonnaise?
No, that's only Shane Beamer.
All right, fellas. That was
Chris.
good.
Yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, we do these live streams every Wednesday night. They are listener-driven shows. We put up content just about every morning on the channel, so you can check out our videos. Hit the subscribe button. That's the best way to catch all those. Be sure to visit the Stakes app this week. That's our title sponsor. Those guys are good to us. We need to be good to them in return. That app's a ton of fun. And we will be doing live stuff, Blake, probably when? After...
I think we'll probably need to do something after Tennessee, Alabama. I think that's a good bet.
The early game I've gone blank.
We probably won't do it after Auburn Ole Miss, but we'll see how it goes. Depends on how the game goes. But sorry, folks.
I mean, if
top priority is going to be Tennessee, Alabama. We apologize to everybody else, but that's probably going to be the top priority this weekend. So
if Auburn wins or a coach is fired on the field, then we could do a live stream.
There you go.
But
that's a good caveat.
But otherwise, it's probably going to be not long after Tennessee, Alabama is complete one way or the other.
Subscribe, turn on notifications, and you'll know when we go live.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. We hope to see you next week. Be safe. Good night, and we'll see you again Saturday.